Yo, Galen.
Yo, Oni.
In the cold open for today's episode, I wanted to tell just a little bit of story. Want to do a little story time?
Okay, alright. I do appreciate story time.
It was an experience that I had this week going to the post office.
Use twas. Twas an experience you had.
Twas the post office and all through the virus.
There you go. Oh boy.
So, going outdoors is an endeavor, and so I go to the post office. It's a smaller post office, and
I feel like you're about to bust into a rap for some reason.
Oh. Born and raised in the post office is where I spent most of my days.
Yeah,
Standing in the line about 6 feet apart, and I saw something behind me, and I don't even know that I had to fart. I'm too tired. I don't know. I can't even do the bit. So, only letting 4 people into the room at a time, trying to keep social distancing. And then
Were they
everybody's...
up to no good?
Yeah, trying to make a neighborhood in my neighborhood. And anyway...
Trying to mail a letter to my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I had one little sneeze and the place got scared.
They said you go into the hospital because I know you got Roni. It didn't rhyme. I could have rhymed Roni with Oni. Regrets.
Continue.
So we're standing outside. I was up to no good. Now everything that I say sounds like it's just gonna be Fresh Prince. So we're standing outside 6 feet apart, and this dude comes up behind me, and there's people outside making it look like there's a long line. There's really not. It's just everybody's doing 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
And he immediately shouts into the air, hoping somebody will talk back to him. He's like, "Oh, great. When I came here earlier today, I didn't have what I needed, and then now I come here and there's a line." And I did not turn around because I'm looking at my phone. I'm reading through this thing I got to translate, so trying to multitask.
As a good, Japanese person, just minding your own business.
Yes, exactly. So des. And this guy behind me is maybe 50s, mid 50s, white, never been wrong in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts talking out a little bit more, just somebody talk to me. It's all about me, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh God, no, please. I gotta do my thing. And eventually he lets up. Somebody finally comes up behind him. And this person is a nurse, and he's on his lunch break or something like that. He's got his mask on like we all do. And immediately, white man, we'll just call him white man, he starts talking to nurse man behind him. He's like, a lot of people are blowing this coronavirus out of proportion, or whatever he says. And even the girl who was standing in front of me sort of looked behind me and then looked at me, and we both rolled our eyes so hard. We rolled our eyes through our face masks.
As you do?
As one do. And then he tells a story about how he went to a hospital just the other day to talk about how he could donate his body to science. Because, to quote him, "I got nothing else going on." End quote. And then he's telling this to the nurse guy, and he goes, "And they kicked me out. I couldn't believe it." And then the nurse guy is like, "Yeah, it's probably not the best time." And he's like, "No, this is the best time because it's all the more important to do that." And I don't even think the nurse guy said anything back to him. Just because we're all like, dude, everything, I'm so sorry the pandemic happened for you because life couldn't be all about you, But ultimately, it just made me think about, the extroverts in the world, and for how desperately people like me crave alone time in order to recharge. They are the opposite. They need the outdoors time in order to recharge. So I understand that they're having a rough go of it. So not this guy, but I do feel for my other extroverts. That guy is shit.
Are you still thinking about Fresh Prince? Because I am.
Yes. Hello, my avalanche cuties. Friends, thank you for joining us today on the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 76. My name is Oni Dino, and with me I have a support materia. Its function? To laugh at all your shitty jokes. Mm-hmm. It's Galen.
That is the most important one.
It's the synergy materia, so it has to be slotted next to another materia that's linked.
Mm-hmm.
The joke materia, which you can buy for 1 gil from Chadley. And then the Galen materia.
Hey, it's working.
So Galen, in these Macarena virus times that we have, Casa Buena.
Casablanca?
No, Casa Buena. Why are those men's Spanish so difficult to understand?
I have no idea. I don't understand Spanish to begin with.
Under Spanish. That's what you.
I don't under Spanish.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to save time here, so we got to cut down syllables wherever we can. We don't fault you for good ideas, so cheers.
There you go.
We got the video game news happening this week. We also got the video game critique. Just like every week, you can join us every Sunday with the episodes here on the Nintendo Everything podcast. I'm sorry, I took a 20-minute nap before this podcast thinking it would recharge me. Did the opposite? Absolute opposite is where I was going. I was trying to save time with syllables, though. Opposite.
Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Galen. I will be the Oni Dino translator for this episode.
Every energy is a vacuum out of me right now.
Mm-hmm. That translates to I need more sleep, but I will not give it to myself.
As if I have it to give to me.
You're on your own for that one, folks.
Please, in these trying times, won't you leave us a review or share us on the iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher? It helps us grow this show.
Mm-hmm. And trust me, if there's anything we need more on this channel, it's personal growth. Sneeze?
No, that's just my face.
Oh, okay. Your face is a perpetual about to sneeze.
Yeah, alright, that's how I look right now. That's fine. Alright, let's bitch about video games for no point reason. Galen, you're playing video games every week.
Yes, I am.
And you tweet every week.
I do, indeed. At least one tweet.
Make it count.
I remember the tweets that I made this week. All about the absurdity of candy bar names being promoted by Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah. Butterfinger is constantly a Bart Simpson food for me.
Yeah, same here. Although
it's nothing else.
I've been noticing that Square has been doing that food promotion crossover a lot. I remember when they came out with Chocobo's Dungeon for the Switch, they did a promotion with Dippin' Dots.
Weird.
And you could go and get Chocobo flavors at a Dippin' Dots location. 1, I didn't know what those flavors were. 2, I didn't know that Dippin' Dots locations were still a thing.
It's probably just even sugarier vanilla. And then remember they did the cup noodle thing with 15? They just like
food.
They bleed so much money internally on their games that they're like, we have to recoup our losses somewhere. I'm surprised they haven't done any belt fashion thing. Galen, where do you tweet?
I tweet on Twitter. You can find my tweets at Mobius087. How about you, Oni? When you're coherent enough to say.
Well, actually, when I'm the most incoherent is always. And I have the most kindest of coolest people that listen to this podcast who join me over on Twitter saying some really funny shit. And I just really love all of you so much. So come join over if you have not joined that party to my Twitter at Oni_Dino.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a pause on the first 20 minutes of the podcast just so Oni can double his
No, I
sleep.
won't come back. I won't come back. But anyway, I have the best interactions with you guys over on Twitter, so come join that party.
Mm-hmm.
Galen, you beat Resident Evil 3 Remake. Did you?
No. I believe I'm on
What are you doing?
Animal Crossing has me hooked good, man.
Okay, well, which of these games do you want to talk about?
Both, but I can start by talking about Resident Evil. Because I still have a lot of impressions. I've made some major progress on this game.
Geez, the way that he's talking about it, you'd think that this is a 10-hour game.
Yeah, it's more like 6.
It's like 3.
This will probably be the last time I talk about Resident Evil 3 Remake, because I feel like there's not much more I can get out of this game. And I'm not even going to touch the, Revolutions or whatever the online mode was.
Retribution. Wait, no. Resurgence?
Revengeolution.
What is it called?
Rebellion?
God, what? It's just one of those generic, forgettable names. Like
Exactly.
Origins, Chronicles, which both Resident Evil games have done both of those subtitles.
Have they?
Origins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was Origins?
It was when they released the 2-pack of 0 and 1.
Oh, but that doesn't count.
None of it counts, Galen. It's video games. They all suck. Tell me about this one, Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off by repeating something that I said last week. The more I play this game, the more I feel like this is going into the same spiritual direction as Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, that's what has me nervous for the future of this series.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And I understand what they were trying to do with the previous, trying to stay to the same spirit as the last game to what they're remaking on this one. I applaud them for trying that, but especially near the end, the theatrics of the combat that you're getting into and everything like that, it's very over the top. Like, there is an aspect of a Nemesis boss fight that reminded me of T-Virus T-Rex in Resident Evil 6.
Oh my god. What?
Yeah. I'll get more into that in a little bit, but one thing is that they do have QuickTime events in here, but they're very subtle in the way that they do it. So the QuickTime events aren't necessarily that Twitch reaction kind of thing that you would get in Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 5. You're not mashing a button to try to push boulders or something. It's more of just making you have interaction with the cutscenes. Like, at the very beginning, you climb into a car and you need to try to ram the car into Nemesis. And all it is you're pressing the X once or twice or something to try to get the engine started, and then you have to hold down on the R2 button in order to use the pedal of the gas. There's very little way that you can get this wrong unless you are purposefully trying to do it, and I feel like that's okay, because it did get me, I was still at that point learning what the game's expectations were, and I did feel involved in the moment itself.
Okay. I mean, I guess that was the original intention of QuickTime events in the first place, right? It's
Yeah.
weird. It seems like we've come full circle on them, and now we're coming right around on QuickTime events, and we're getting really simple ones again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like the simplicity of it. Don't go any more than that. I don't want another Krauser knife fight on my hands.
That is the QuickTime event that made people
crazy
freak
and rage out.
Well, yeah, because they're sitting there and they're eating their dinner, and then suddenly Krauser knifes them in the throat. They're like, "Mom's eating my dinner! The mac and cheese! I got mac and cheese on my balls!"
Stepping aside from the QuickTime events and the cutscenes and going more to the actual game, I want to elaborate a little bit more on the essence of the game itself, like the combat of everything. First off, I felt like ammo was very generous, and I don't know if that is the self-imposed limits that I put onto myself or what, but like near the beginning of the game, I purposefully chose not to use any of my gunpowders or anything like that to make extra ammo.
Are you playing on normal mode?
I was, yes. I haven't played it on hardcore yet.
Okay.
But even with that said, yeah, when the only time that I really found myself struggling on ammo was when I purposefully didn't take my handgun with me because I didn't have any ammo for that, and I figured, oh, okay, I'll probably find some later on the road, I'll find a new save point, and I'll be all good to go. Nope, straight into a boss battle. I'm like, oh, crap, I'm screwed. I'm gonna have to reload the save. But then they gave me enough ammo in the actual boss arena to completely finish it on my first go.
Okay.
And ever since then, I kind of took ammo more for granted more than anything else.
In what way did you take it for granted? That there would be a lot of ammo, but there wasn't?
No, I would never have to worry about ammo ever again. And that kind of links itself more into the dodging as well. I mentioned last time, the dodging is still very weird for me. And I never quite got to the point where I could reliably use it. So, because of that sense of I've got plenty of ammo, I actually, cashed in all my stuff for magnum rounds, and then I mixed a couple for shotgun rounds, and then I made like 70, 80 handgun bullets just because I had it. So the rest of the game, if I ever came across like there's a body lying on the ground or there's a guy who's farther away, well, crap, I'll just take out my handgun and take my time and actually plug a round or two just to test the waters a little bit. It didn't give me any reason not to because I had that plentiful amount.
I do remember at least. I mean, I would expect, because I know this one's going to be more action heavy, to have more ammo than say Resident Evil 2 Remake, but I do remember in 2 Remake I had lots of ammo in normal mode, and even in hard mode I still was just like full up on a bajillion different kinds of ammo and healing items.
Yeah. And even in that, like when I played through as Carlos, which was interesting because he has a little bit of a different playstyle compared to Jill. When I was playing as Carlos, near the end of his section of the game, there is this, you have to hold the ground in the hospital as waves of zombies are starting to come in. And then there are hunters that are starting to come up, and a bunch of other enemies that are kind of like piling on all at the same time, and you're just going to town with your assault rifle. And it was very much a farmhouse from Resident Evil 4 moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They do a cabin moment.
Yes, cabin moment. That's the one. Overall, like, I really did feel like there was a lot more action based in this game, but I don't know, it kind of took away from that suspense aspect.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back when it came to this remake, which with the RE2 remake, I'm starting to regret comparing it this much to it, but I felt like it was just 2 steps forward, period.
I feel like that's a fair comparison, though.
But there are little other things to it, too. Like, as I said before, playing as Carlos is very different compared to playing as Jill. The whole putting the machine gun away in the item box so Jill can use it later, that's not a thing. So there's no reason not to use the assault rifle that Carlos has for the majority of, the time that he's playing it.
Wait, you couldn't do that in the original RE3, could you?
I thought you could, yeah. Like if Carlos put the assault rifle in the item box, then Jill can come in and pick it up later. Carlos was just left with like just a knife and just a handgun, and that was it.
I think you might be confusing OGRE2 and OGRE3. In OGRE2, you know how they have the A-B scenarios? Mm-hmm. You get to an area in the basement that's like a locker for weapons and stuff like that. and you open up the locker. There is a side pack for more items and a submachine gun. You can take both in your A scenario if you want, but if you leave one or both of them, then the person in the B scenario can pick it up.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure as Carlos, you can't open up item boxes in OGRE3. That's just my brain. I haven't played that game in years, but I feel like those are the memories that I have.
Well, and it's been years since I've even touched Resident Evil 3, and when I did, I think I only played it once, so I might be mistaken on this one. But I know you definitely can't do it in this one.
Yeah.
Using the assault rifle, you can very easily mow down, like, they send 4, 5, 6 different zombies at you at a time, and it's at the same challenge level as fighting 1 or 2 zombies were with Jill at the beginning of the game. Like, it definitely lessens the impact of what zombies can do when you do come across them.
Because you have the assault rifle.
Because you have the assault rifle, and also his dodge isn't the same. Oddly enough, the timing is different between Carlos's dodge button and Jill's dodge button. I was able to use Carlos's just fine.
Interesting. And is that because you hate women?
No, it's because I appreciate big, burly men. I was trying to set up a joke. It's not going anywhere.
My face right now.
But with Carlos, his dodge is actually replaced with a shove. And if you get the same, like, perfect timing thing with Jill, when you did the perfect timing and you dodged, it automatically swung the camera around and let you, like, auto-lock, auto-aim to the head, and you can just fire off a couple of rounds there. With Carlos, you do Chris Redfield's Falcon Punch.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So...
We're going back that way, are we?
Yeah. Like, there's very weird transitional steps that are being made here. They also really changed the story up a little bit. You know, I mentioned this before, but certain aspects are different compared to how they were before. You know, Brad Vickers dies in a different way. But I won't spoil a lot of this for you, but Jill never goes back to the RPD.
She doesn't go into the RPD?
No.
What?
So what happens is, and I guess this is a mild spoiler, what happens is that Jill gets onto the subway train to get out of the city with Mikhail, I think his name was? Yeah. Mikhail and
Nikolai.
Yeah, Nikolai. Nikolai is there.
Bitch, I ain't even play this game and I'm finishing it for you.
So they go off on their own. Carlos and some other new guy go off to the RPD, and they do their own thing. So it's Carlos going through that entire section.
Oh, do you get to play as Carlos doing that?
Yeah, you get to play as Carlos going through the RPD. So, and he makes little comments, like he comes up to the gate, the first gate that you do as Leon or Claire with a big keep out sign. And he just walks up and says, keep out, huh? All right, I'll do that. And then he just never touches it again. So.
Weird.
Yeah, he makes little, snide comments and everything as he's going around looking at these different things. I appreciate what they did. I understand why they were trying to change up the pacing of the game to make it feel like a fresh experience, but with the foreknowledge that they have now, Resident Evil 3 being where it is in the series franchise, I feel like this is a really missed opportunity.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, this is just kind of subverting your expectations for the sake of subverting. It's like, you have to, in order to nail that, you have to subvert expectations in a satisfying way, and I think that that's actually kind of dissatisfying or unsatisfying, because Jill is going back to the police station where she's based. There's the STARS office where she is at. One of my favorite things in OGRE3 is going back to the RPD and going through just that room, the STARS room, and hearing what Jill has to say in the flavor text about,
Yeah.
oh, this is Barry's office and blah, 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 blah. And comparing that with the original RE2 dialogue of being like, okay, this desk looks like some weapons expert or something like that. And it's great. It's a little personalized characterization
Exactly.
that's happening.
And even like because we know they're changing the story and they're changing the pacing of everything, there's so many new elements that they could have put into this that would have made like very insightful differences. Like comments about, what does Jill do when she comes across Brad? What happens when she talks to Marvin while she's in there?
Yeah.
I would have loved to see a scene where Chief Iron makes a cameo appearance.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and Jill like knows what his deal is and is just absolutely disdainful of his entire situation.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
he runs off and locks himself behind a heart door or something like that.
Right, yeah. Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see like this Jill Valentine too be like that fat f*** or something like that,
Like, this Jill Valentine is very well written. I love her personality. I love her spunk. She's a well-written character.
Yeah.
But they put her into the situation where the only time she gets to express any of that is when creepy alien, facehugger guys are ramming things down her throat. That actually does happen.
What?
Or she's getting chased by Nemesis.
What?
Like, it's...
Alien happens?
Hey, I'm telling you, you and I need to play this game.
Okay, we'll play it this week.
Okay.
We'll play it this week, and then I'll talk about it on the podcast next week.
Exactly. But even with that being said, like, the other thing that I was thinking about was, remember when you and I were playing with this? And
No.
This was back when we were doing Super Turbo Fighters.
No.
They had the letter that Chris wrote to the people at Stars that you found in the locker room. Yeah. That letter is never found in this game. And, like, even Carlos doesn't pick it up and is like, oh, who was this tool? And, like, throws it down, thinking that, hey, what's the point of this? Like, that would make canonical sense.
Yeah.
But if Jill found the letter, she could have made commentary and cleared up things. And for people who haven't played the original RE2 and didn't know that Chris was on, special assignment to hunt down Umbrella in Europe.
Yeah, just, that sounds like missed opportunities.
Yeah, and... I feel like my overall impressions of this game, I liked it. Honestly, I would probably wait for it to go down before you pick up a copy. I think it is worth playing and owning, because it is still a really good game. But it definitely, you can feel a tonal shift in the game itself. So as long as you go into it with that expectations, and I guess lowered expectations, you'll still have a good time with it.
My life is about lowered expectations, I'll tell you what. But why don't you tell me about the other game that has been taking up a whole bunch of your time? Why don't you tell me about the stock market? The stock market, as some may say.
Those freaking turnips are taking over my life.
Side note, I want to, before you get going on this whatever animal game, I'm kidding, that's not me. Little interesting titterbit. The reason that you're trading turnips in Animal Crossing, do you know why?
Why?
Because in Japanese, the word turnip and the word stock, for like stock market, are homophones. They're both the word kabu.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
So that's why you're trading turnips.
That actually is very insightful. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not that insightful.
Hey, you know what? I thought it was interesting, and I'm going to share it with my wife. So, so yeah. The other reason why I haven't beaten Resident Evil 3 Remake is because of stupid Animal Crossing. Yeah, the game has definitely got a bit of a lock on my life right now. So first off, I feel like I should give my impressions on the first of supposedly many holiday events, because Bunny Day has come and gone. Thank God Bunny Day has come and gone.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, Bunny Day is basically their thing for Easter. But they also combine it with the blooming of cherry blossoms. So you had both of those kind of going on at the same time, which was nice. I was more up to the cherry blossom related things. It changed the look of the trees, and it was actually really cool. The eggs were a bit of the problem, however, so...
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I don't remember if I mentioned this last week on the podcast or not, but I think that, with coronavirus, a lot of people have been playing this game way more than they would have if this weren't happening. So I think that compounded with the kind of high spawn rates of eggs, like you mentioned last week, that just, I think, really frustrated so many players.
Yeah. Well, the big frustration is people are still playing this game and trying to get everything set up and built up. And when you need, 10 basic wood blocks in order to make some furniture, and you get up to 3 different types from a tree, either hard, soft, or regular, and now you're adding eggs into that mix, because you can get eggs from chopping trees. You can get eggs from hitting stones and rocks. You can get eggs from fishing. You can get eggs falling from the sky.
I know I said this last week, but it sounds like Dr. Seuss.
It kinda is. I mean, this is no egg hunt. This is an egg invasion. So...
You wrote that down ahead of time, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god. See, I can always tell.
The other thing is that it really interfered with, one of their big seasonal events, too. And not just, the whole cherry blossom thing, because that had different mechanics to it. No, this is in reference to they had their first fishing tournament. Which they do one every season, so, spring, summer, fall, whatever. And the idea is that you have 3 minutes to catch as many fish as possible. However, if while you're fishing you end up catching eggs, those don't necessarily count, and there's no real way to tell them apart, and there's no real way to, control that, facet.
Yeah.
The only way to really get around that is I found that if you actually use fish bait, it's guaranteed that whatever you catch, it is not going to be an egg, because it's not part of whatever that, spawn pool is. Uh-huh. The other problem with that is that it takes a lot longer to grind out and actually make fish bait than it does actually fishing. So
that's not even a solution, is it?
I spent more time getting ready to fish than I did actually fishing. And it was just, I think that combined with everything, and just, it was very invasive this entire time. And the whole point of these eggs is that you can use them for crafting Easter-themed furniture and clothing and materials. And
pastel.
Yeah, basically. And, there's only one of the clothing pieces that I felt was actually, nice, and I can see somebody wearing that outside of the Easter event. And even then, it was narrowed down to, this is a very frilly, Lolita-esque dress that, as my guy who's sporting a beard walking around over there, yeah, I'm probably not going to wear that on an everyday basis in the game, so.
Why not?
Because I would much rather wear my Peter Pan outfit. Animal Crossing is a weird game, okay? No, my critique of the entire thing is that I feel like going forward, I would hope that future events would do a better job of creating exclusive events for the game. I hope that whatever you need to do to create that material isn't as invasive. And I hope that it gives you more incentive to participate in it, versus just making it, hey, if I don't want anything to do with this Easter event, guess what? You've got no choice. You've got a stockpile of eggs. Hope you want to move some trees around on your island.
Yeah, I'll bet dollars to eggs that they are going to take some of this feedback and use it to kind of tweak any upcoming events.
Yeah.
That bunny's freaky looking too, isn't he?
Oh yeah, no, he's super fun. And he's got a giant zipper on his back, hence his name Zipper T Bunny, which is the actual name of the character.
What?
Yeah, so
he's like Rilakkuma? Is he wearing a bunny suit?
Yeah, it's alluded that it's Zipper T Bunny is not his actual name. It's a character in the game who's dressed up in a bunny suit. But there's no way to find out for sure and no other clues as to what's going on. He insists that, no, there's no zipper back there. What are you talking about? Stop looking.
Oh my god.
Seriously, just look up a couple of the YouTube things, or just
I will not.
Do a Twitter search for Zipper T Bunny.
That'd be the worst part. But you've been playing this game for a good month or so, and it's starting to interfere with your adult responsibilities of,
I know.
beating Resident Evil 3 like an adult, like a real true hardcore gamer.
I'm a big boy now.
Yes. Just, can I get a chant from you right now that says, I'm a big boy?
I'm a big boy!
Oh, no, not what I was looking for. Anyway,
I'm a big boy!
Oh, that's getting cut.
Have fun editing.
What are you doing playing this baby game for little tiny baby childs?
So...
I'm kidding. It's not really a criticism of him.
So I've found that now that I'm in kind of the late stages of the game, I'm more logging on to the game to do my basic chores more than actually doing what I originally started playing the game for.
Well, you got to keep your island presentable.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. And
Exactly.
I screwed up some consonants in that sentence.
I've just ordered a bunch of milkshakes and I keep leaving them around my island, and it brings the animals.
Right. I ain't a moose, bitch. Get out my hay. I stole that from Doja Cat.
So there's a number of different things you can do that are reoccurring actions. So every day there's 4 different fossils that are hidden somewhere on your island. You gotta go find them.
Okay.
There's an ATM / ordering system that you can log into to get Nook Mile bonuses, which you can use for ordering more things or going to other islands. It's like a second source of
currency.
There's fruit that you grow on the game. You need to pick that and you can sell it and then wait for the next batch to come in. So there are these reoccurring things that happen every single day. So there's reasons, and there's never a reason not to log in for a particular day, but it's this sort of once a day mentality that it's kind of becoming more mundane and routine more than it is expressing elements of creativity and fun.
Well, I think that's kind of the eventual trap with all of these types of games. The sort of life sim kind of thing is that eventually it becomes like that. But I think the long-term goal is you playing online with friends, especially in this particular Animal Crossing. Do you do that very often, or what?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The same group of friends that I've started playing with, we've been keeping this going for the entire time. And especially with the stock market, it's really interesting that we message each other twice a day, and it's like, hey, turnips are 100 bells over at my shop. Well, they're only 43 for me. Well, I got them for 443. You, I'm coming to your island. Yeah, there's definitely still a collaboration and listening on that front. But half the fun for me was jumping on and just imagining what I can do with this island and how I wanted to create it, how I wanted to put on my people, what villagers that I actually want to get onto my island. Now that I've kind of found that sweet spot of everything's done, I mean, technically I've still got a couple fossils I need to get for my museum. And, new animals are going to, populate the streams and the ocean come next month. But, other than that, it's more of just, become a collectathon more than it has expressing that element of creativity that originally caught me onto the game. I still have felt a stronger sense of community with this game than any other games that I can think of in the past. And that's even referencing some of the ones that I've been passionate about over the past couple of years, such as Destiny. And Destiny was another game that really kind of gave me that, once a day mentality, because you would log in and with that game, it was different because there was this fear of kind of getting left behind from the rest of your play group if you missed out on your level advancement and those potentials with things that are there. Then when everybody else goes to do the big raid or whatever at the end of the week, or sometimes at the beginning of the week, you might kind of get left out because you still got a couple more steps to do till you get to that point.
Right, and then there's the FOMO.
Yeah, it literally was that. I don't necessarily get that with this game.
That's
however.
good. Less pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot less pressure. Animal Crossing, honestly, has been one of my favorite games of this year so far.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, so it deserves all the hype that it's been getting. But I personally don't think I'll be one of the people who are playing it like a year from now. So,
We'll see. We'll see.
I hope. There's a lot of games coming out. Or there were.
Well, one game that did come out.
Partially. A fourth of it came out.
Yeah, no, less than that. Do you know what time it is, Galen?
8:30.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Time difference. 7:30.
It's time for Oni Dino. It's finally here. In the year of 2016, we're playing the hottest game from 25 years ago, Fatal Frame VII Remake. A game that subverts your expectations by making you think you're buying a complete game. Join Cloud Strife, who acts like an elderly tsundere man, unsure of which person he's pretending to be, as he meets waifu after waifu in this teenage boy wish fulfillment game, remade. Now, more beautiful than ever, and even more perfectly captured through the lens of the male gaze.
Thanks, Koei Tecmo.
No!
So I feel like you have some opinions here.
I do. Galen, first, how did you find Final Fantasy VII?
I have not played it yet.
Oh, that's right, I played it.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, and you're gonna hate me for this, I hate this game.
I don't hate you for that. I really don't.
I'm just kidding with you. I love this game.
I judge you for this. I really do.
There are definite flaws with this game and definite baffling decisions that they made, but I am loving my time with this as much as I am disliking many parts of it.
All right. So please elaborate on your time in Midgar.
The weirdest thing is how dated this game feels, actually.
I could have told you that from some of the clips that I've seen.
What do you have something in mind when you say that? I'm curious to hear, because honestly, before you answer that, I am fascinated to hear your opinion on this game, and I wish that you were playing it, because you have the more rarer experience of, you have not played the original, you know the cultural zeitgeist of Final Fantasy VII, you know about Sephiroth, Tifa, Aerith, Cloud in passing, but you've never played this game, you never experienced it. So I would love to hear what your experience is this game, because that's what I kept thinking about this entire time that I was playing, is that I feel like this is a game for Final Fantasy VII fans. This isn't for new people.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because I kept thinking that exact same thing when I was playing Resident Evil 3.
Really?
Yeah, well, it was just not necessarily this is only for Resident Evil people, but I just kept thinking, on the other hand, is what would how would he react to all of these changes and, these minute shifts in the timeline, if you will.
Okay.
So,
all right, did you have something that you had seen in trailers, and you played the demo a bit, so you have a little bit of experience with the remake, but do you have something that made you feel oh, this is dated?
I can only say that it felt dated in the way that they wrote some of the characters.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about with this, because the battle system is super updated, it feels fresh, so many things are modern, the visuals are gorgeous on most things, but then there's just it's something that's straight out of 2002 when it comes to writing.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably when they started making this, so there you go. So I watched a couple of, like, the cutscenes that they have on there. I was specifically interested in Jessie's character, because you grilled her plenty back when we were talking about the demo. So...
She was basically a panini after I was through with her.
And from the cutscenes that I have seen now, and I'm also giving the caveat of I haven't actually played the game, so take my opinion for what it is, an opinion. The characters seem very JRPG tropish in only a way an anime can be.
It is pretty anime feeling, isn't it?
Yes.
Very anime feeling.
That is 100% what I was getting.
Did you see the video on YouTube where it's like all flirting scenes and it's an hour and a half?
Yeah.
You saw that? It's good.
I don't think I saw that particular one, but I'm not surprised by it.
Somebody on my timeline on Twitter posted that video and they're like, it's a full-length movie worth of flirting? And that about, like, says it with this game. So, okay, let me get back to it. I really am enjoying my time with this game. Visually, it is just there. It is gorgeous. Most parts of this game...
down.
Yeah. Most parts of this game look like the most beautiful game I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
There is just so much attention to detail on the main characters' models, their silhouettes, the environmental design, all of the mechanical stuff happening in Final Fantasy VII. I'm a huge, like, mechanical stuff is very much my aesthetic. Like, I love H.R. Giger, which has he has a biomechanical aesthetic, and so much weird stuff in Final Fantasy VII, and a lot of games of that era and earlier were very mechanical. So I love seeing tubing happening everywhere inside the Mako reactors, and the, like, grungy. Thank you. Streets in the slums with, like, just pipes and crazy stuff coming out of it. It just is just very, there for me.
It's very grungy. There's a very industrial look to everything.
Absolutely.
They've got this open concept design. They really were able to knock down that wall in the kitchen and really kind of blow... Sorry, I got confused. I was watching way too much House Hunters.
I hate you. I hate you for this joke that you've created.
You didn't know it was a joke until it was too late.
No, I knew it was a joke leading up to it, and I was like, this is gonna suck.
Materia's working.
Oh, God. And the characters, I said, before, they're super bangable. All of them look really beautiful. I think that...
Even Wedge.
Yeah, sure. I think that both Tifa and Aerith look a little bit like insects, though.
Okay.
Kind of like that super Japanese aesthetic of cute, where they have a very, kind of round face, big eyes, small mouth, and then suddenly you're like, you look like a praying mantis. The cutest praying mantis ever. But there's many scenes where I'm just like, everyone is beautiful.
Yeah. And how much of that do you think is in alluding to or in tribute of the original design of the characters and everything back in 1997?
Well, it was Tetsuya Nomura's character design, so could be that, but I don't know. But moving forward, the music, of course, is incredible.
One question, though. I have a very important question. This is probably going to base my entire perception of the entire conversation now.
I'm dying to hear it.
Sporty, mature, or exotic?
I'll get to that. That's a choice you make in this game for one of your waifus.
Go on.
Now, of course, the original score was great. Uematsu's score for the original game is amazing. They've done so many rearrangements and remixes of music in this game. There's also some new music as well that's inspired by the game, and the places that they put it, the implementation is amazing, and it keeps the flow. Like you'll hear like, you know, a very orchestral sweeping song, and then, you know, a relaxing song, then an upbeat super like club song while you're moving a hand like a crane game kind of thing. And it's the most EDM crane game situation you've ever been in your life in a garbage dump.
Okay.
Which surprisingly, or not surprisingly, is my aesthetic. Garbage dump EDM crane game.
I think you have that on a throw pillow.
Yeah, and on the other side it says, live, laugh, love. Just the music is so incredible in this game, and the way that they've like woven it into scenes where it's like, okay, you're controlling the character, but then like a little, you know, story thing is happening, and they seamlessly like handcraft that somehow through some algorithm to make the musical sting happen like right at the end of that, you know, scene or whatever. It's just brilliant. It's really incredible. Getting back to something that, you know, I was a bit more critical of when I played the demo, I still have, you know, several of those criticisms. They've just lessened because I've gotten used to it and kind of stopped fighting the game so much, and I've kind of been like, okay, I'll play by your rules kind of thing.
Okay.
The battle system. I'm really enjoying the battle system, except for one huge complaint that I still do have, and that's that I don't have free control of the camera. You technically do, but you move the camera with the right stick, just like most games.
Yeah.
But in this game, right stick is also for locking onto enemies and switching enemies. It has too many functions associated with just that one input method, especially when L2 and R2 are just like convenience and quick buttons. I never use L2 and R2 in combat. I wish that I could have the option to cycle my locked on enemies relegated to the L2 and R2 buttons. That would fix my major complaint about this game, because then I could use the right stick to look around me, because a lot of times when I'm fighting the enemy that I'm locked onto, I'm not looking directly at them. They're in my periphery, but I'm actually looking at what's happening to my left, so that way I can dodge an incoming attack or something like that.
Yeah.
That is how I play video games. That's how I live life. Like when I'm, for example, when I'm driving my car, I'm not looking at the car in front of me. I'm looking at the cars, a couple of cars in front of me or something like that. That's just how I operate. So it's infuriating on a mechanical level to not be able to play that way. I just got through a boss fight where they had a lot of like missiles that were being shot at me, and I could not see the missiles coming at me many times because I didn't have control over the camera, making me get hit by attacks I could have avoided. And that is a huge complaint that I still have about the battle system.
Okay.
But other than that, there are so many layers to this battle system. The stagger mechanic is great, which comes from Final Fantasy XIII, but it's quite different than how it worked with 13. So you build up, you know, a stagger meter, and you pressure them, and it's about forcing enemies into different states and exploiting their weaknesses, and it's great. I love that. It's very tactical combat. I'm never bored when doing the combat.
Good.
It's not just straight up hack and slash.
Yeah, it's not a Kingdom Hearts 3, you just mash them until the QuickTime button pops up.
No, not at all.
Good,
and thank
good,
God,
good.
because I was worried about that. I really didn't like Kingdom Hearts 2 combat. It was beautiful, but I created these huge combos in KH2, and then I didn't even get to see them all finish just because I killed the enemy halfway through my combo, and that's all I was doing was mashing. And don't get me wrong, I love a whole bunch of Warriors games. I'm in it for mashing as long as there's other things happening. It doesn't work for this kind of game. So
good.
Anyway, each character that you play as, and you only play as 4 characters in this game, they all feel so distinctly different. They have totally different play styles, different stats, and it's great. They nailed that. It's so much fun to play battles in this game. I actually, I'm finding the whole game, too easy, and I wish that I could play hard mode from the get-go. Apparently a hard mode unlocks after you beat the game, then you restart, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but I can't really see myself replaying this game a bunch. But the game is just a little bit too easy for me in the combat, and I want to be challenged more in the combat to the point where, like, right now I'm kind of holding back some of my upgrades on, like, increase your attack damage and your magic damage. And I'm also choosing, like, weaker defense items just because I'm trying to, like, artificially make the game harder for myself.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, which, I mean, I don't normally do that in games, but I'm enjoying this combat system to the point where it's like I don't want to just, like, get in and out of a combat.
You want to keep it complex.
Yeah, because the layers are there.
Yeah, which reminds me, when we were talking about this before, I had mentioned a YouTuber who got a little bit of an early look at Final Fantasy VII past the demo that we all played. And he had made comments about the different playstyles as you're playing as each person.
Yeah.
Specifically, like Tifa, it felt more like playing a fighting game to an extent, where there were different combos and everything that you were doing with her, as opposed to the hacking and slashing that you do with Cloud. Did that actually pan through? Would you share it the same way?
They do totally feel different, but I wouldn't say that her thing is like a fighting game all that much. I think that that's very much like that's something that people wanted to hear, and this person had, I don't know, I'm projecting right now, but maybe that's something that people wanted to hear, and this person who got a first look wanted to give a good impression, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair.
You do have one ability that you do where it lengthens your combo and creates a stronger attack, and that builds on top of it. So you'll be at like level 1, level 2, level 3. So maybe that's where the fighting game analogy came in, but it doesn't play like a fighting game by any means.
Mm-hmm.
And jumping off of the battle system is, I love the way they have done the weapon system as well. So in a traditional JRPG, you get your iron sword, and then you find a steel sword later, and that's better than the iron sword. So
forget that iron sword.
Bye.
Sell it.
50 gold in the pocket. But in this game, they have done a thing where you get new weapons occasionally, and these weapons are not like pure upgrades. They're more like builds, like a weapon build. So you level up materia inside of your weapon that is completely separate from the materia system, and it's kind of like a sphere grid kind of thing, or like Final Fantasy XII grid kind of thing, or most similar to Final Fantasy XIII, their upgrade system. So you have like 4 or 5 different options, and you have to use your ability points to level it up, and each option is different for each weapon and for each build. So it'll be like, do you want to increase your attack power, your magic power? Do you want to add a new materia slot? Do you want to increase your speed, your counter damage, your aerial damage, all kinds of things? And there's only certain things for certain weapons. So once you level up your stuff, you can be like, oh, this is definitely like a more magic build kind of weapon. This is more defensive. This is more offensive. And just depending on who's in your party, you can choose the most appropriate weapon for your character. So if I want Tifa to be, Tifa is definitely a glass cannon kind of character. Yeah. But if she needs to be doing some magic right now, because at some point everybody needs to be doing something, then you can have her equip the more magic kind of weapon. And it makes every character viable in some degree. I love it. It's great because I always feel a little bit bad about just like, okay, this is old, okay, out with the old and with the new. And they've done a great job making everything be viable.
You know what that actually kind of reminds me of is the way that Kingdom Hearts kind of approached their weapons with the Keyblades, where, you got them, but you weren't necessarily buying them from shops. You were getting them as you unlocked progress in the game, and then each one had its own, like, it's not like a side-for-side comparison. But it sounds very reminiscent of that style, like an evolved sense.
I would say where Kingdom Hearts maybe did a half step in this direction, this game goes full on step in this direction.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right.
There's lots of little lovely moments that have been done in the game to expand on the world building. Some things that they have added I love, some things I really am not a fan of. There's no way I can get into everything, so I'll be talking about this a little bit more later. But some things that I really do love that were added was after the Mako reactor, after that demo, after you blow up the reactor, you come out onto the streets. And that was in the original game, but there wasn't a whole bunch of people around, and you just kind of... The street was basically a hallway, and then you go, onto your next part of the game. In this game, you are on the streets, everybody is freaking out, and they're crying, and they're like, oh my god, where's my kid? Everything's on fire, my life is ruined, and stuff like that. And I love that you have to see the ground floor aftermath of what you have just done to this reactor. That is excellent writing. I love that. It's from a structure point of view too. That is excellent. So you can be like, okay, cool, I blew up the thing. I'm strong. But then you're like, oh, actually, this is kind of ruining the lives of people. I thought we're doing this because it's good for the planet, but I'm actually ruining people's it shows that it's not black and white, and it's like, good, do that, expand on that.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something that I think was kind of missing from the original, so it's good to see that evolution there.
Bro, you have not played the original. Do not even pretend. Slap you next time I see you. And that leads me into my next point is there are so many people on the streets, and you don't go up to them and talk to them. You kind of eavesdrop and you kind of hear what they're saying. You just, they're saying stuff and you're hearing it because you're in the vicinity. And a lot of the stuff that they say is mundane or whatever or dumb, but then some stuff is really interesting, and they'll be talking about oh, I bought that, that handbag from up on the plate and it was super fancy, and I can't believe how rich people have these tastes. People up on the plate are weird or whatever. Just little tiny things like that are super optional, and it adds to the world building. It adds to how these characters live their lives, and I love that. Little things like that are so great. There are so many moments added to this game that really do expand on it and really do what people were hoping for. Expanded world building, expanded characterization. My favorite moment probably that I've had so far is actually between Cloud and Aerith. They went into this area with monsters, and they knew monsters would be there. And Aerith she's very playful, and she's like, oh, she says something about how they're gonna attack, or how do monsters attack, or something like that. And Cloud says that typically monsters go after the strong one in the pack. And then Aerith goes, okay, well, you better be careful then, Cloud. Just kind of implying that she's stronger than him. And then several battles later, and in a totally, quite a ways down in this path that you're on, you fight some monsters, and then after the battle, Aerith goes, must have been a new breed. And Cloud goes, what makes you say that? She goes, because they went after the weaker one. And I was like, oh, it's so cute. These lovely little moments. I just got past chapter 8 or chapter 9, which is, the slums area with Aerith. And so that's why these moments are fresh in my mind. But there was also this moment where she's talking to the flowers, and it seems to implicate that the flowers are the planet, and she's talking to the planet kind of thing, and the life stream and stuff like that, which goes into the world building of the game. And she's like, oh, they didn't talk back, they just listened, they didn't talk back to me. And she walks away, and then Cloud is looking at the flowers, and he says, learn to talk back to her. And he walks away, and talking to the flowers, but he's talking just between him and the flowers. He didn't say that so that way Aerith heard. And it was this really cute moment, and it shows this budding love that Cloud does have for Aerith. And I'm Team Tifa all the way, but I love just good character writing and good character interactions, and little moments like that. It's they just nailed it.
Awesome. That's really encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I almost hate to ruin the mood by asking this, but with all of this all these extra bits that they're putting into this, does it justify the decision that they made to cut the game short as they did?
No. There is so much bloat in this game, too. Like, areas are just gigantic all the time, and it's like, cool, sense of scale, awesome, this is a huge city. But I'm also like, ugh, this hallway could be shorter. Is it a loading hallway? And sometimes in games they have loading hallways,
Yeah,
So maybe it's that. There's now been 2 chapters that I have hated so much. Chapter 3 and 8, which are the side quest chapters. You get to these different towns in the slums, and they're like, oh, you should see what everybody needs help with in the town. Oh, can you help me find my cats? Oh, I need to have these monsters slain. Can you find me this item? And I hate that they have added that to this game.
Yeah.
There's one example in particular, and it frustrated me so much I tweeted about it the other day. So these moments, like these side quests, are so reductive to the main story when they could be a perfect set dressing for you to do some characterization with a character in your party. So in chapter 8, you're with Aerith and you're doing side quests for these idiots in town. And there is this one old man. It's a perfect example of bloat. This one old man, and he's like,
can you go and catch me a Pokemon?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm old and I want to go visit my wife's grave, but there's a monster that's hanging out by her grave.
Please tell me he said it just like that.
Probably.
I would respect them more if they did.
Probably because, I'll tell you what, the voice acting for the main character is fantastic. Really great. Especially Cloud. He's awesome. Voice acting for the NPCs, hit and miss.
Ouch.
That goes for the character models too. Some of those NPC character models are very unreal looking when they speak, because this is Unreal Engine 4. What I mean by that is it feels like their lips and their teeth move move very separately from each other. Very gummy talking, I'll tell you what. Yeah, that's the face that Galen's doing.
Hi.
God.
Sometimes I wish we were a visual podcast.
But anyway, this old man, he's like, go instead of me and pay respects to my wife's grave. My thought with this is like, okay, this is awful, whatever, but this is a perfect example for us to go and for some characterization to happen with Aerith, right? Like, Aerith likes taking care of the town. She has a little bit of like a holy or kind of religious sense about her. This could be her talking about how she is praying to the grave and she sort of hears the planet or something like that. Just something to add to her character. And that's why you actually do the quest, the side quest. That's what my brain is thinking.
I take it that didn't happen.
It didn't yet. So I backtrack to this area that I've already been. I slay the monster, and then there's like next to no interaction between Cloud and Aerith that happened there. It's like throwaway dialogue. And then you go back to the old man, and this is where it gets even weirder. You go back to the old man, and the gravesite was like behind a door, and you had to use a key to unlock the door.
Okay.
So independently, I found the key, and I unlocked the door, and I did the thing. Go back to the old man, and I say to him, here's the key to that area we just went to and that we just found. You give it back to the person that I found it from? And then the old guy's like, but I'm old and can't move my knees. And Cloud's like, fine, I'll give it back to the person, but give me a ton of gil for it. And it's this awkward interaction where Cloud acts like a total asshole, and Aerith says nothing during this. She says absolutely nothing. Like, that's a good, like, setup for Aerith to come in and be like, no, you need to be nicer to these people. These are the people that I love. I love the slums. I wouldn't move out of them because of whatever reasons. I live here. I do my flower growing, stuff like that. None of that happens. There's nothing in there. And I'm just hearing about this old bitch, this gummy old man, just talking about his wife's death. And so anyway, right after that, in this weird, awkward interaction between me and the person that I just did the quest for, right after that, Aerith literally says, "It feels good to help people out, doesn't it?" And it's just a tonal disconnect. There are so many tonal disconnects throughout this entire game like that.
So, swing and a miss.
That's the 2001 feeling that I get from this game. There's just so many things that just... It feels like, Legos getting connected to each other and they didn't, like, smooth them out in between. That's not a good analogy. But you know what I mean. They're just, like, snapping pieces together and not being concerned about, like, that little crack or that little divide where they don't exactly line up.
Well, these ones fit. They're a completely different color. I don't care. They fit.
Sure.
I'm trying to go with the whole Lego analogy.
It was wrong from the start. We shouldn't go with it. I don't want to take up too much more time on Fatal Frame VII Remake this week, but I will be talking more about it. I definitely wanted to say my positives, though, because I really, really am enjoying myself with this game, but I have a lot of complaints. For those of you who have played it, here's some stuff I'm definitely going to be talking about. Chadley. There is a character named Chadley. Mixture between the word Chad and Bradley. Awful name.
Okay.
Can't stand him. The physical acting, like characters are miming or like they're in a stage play where they're overacting, and the voice acting is a mixture between how they're acting.
That's one of the things that I kept noticing that made me think that this is an anime. There was a lot of, well, of course, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Can't you see that's a thing over there?
And I don't know why they've chosen that. It's very, very strange. And maybe if I play the Japanese voiced edition version, that it'll make a little more sense. I have a feeling it will. But still, like, I think that, okay, so you know how many moons ago when we started to get voice acting in games and anime and stuff, and the mouth movements did not match the dubbing. And nowadays they do have programs where it will match the dubbing, or they'll redo the mouth movements for the, say, English version and the Japanese version. I think in the future, hopefully, we will get re-edited character models for expressing things, because there are certain expressions that you do in Japanese society that you do not do in Western society or even other Asian societies, like the and nodding your head like forcefully, like, yeah, got it. Like in English we would be like, all right, yep, got it. But in Japanese it's just a very forceful head nod and and in the English version you can't say all right, because their mouth didn't move, and it's awkward. It's those little things that, especially me as a person who has lived in Japanese society and speaks Japanese, I notice those things to a T, and I can't get it out of my head. So I'll be talking about that in the future.
Okay.
Wedge and fat phobia. There's fat phobia in this game for sure.
Yeah, I kind of got a feeling of that from what I saw.
I like Wedge. He is the comic relief character, but he's comic relief because he's fat, and I don't like that. There's a chapter where they give him a little bit more characterization, which is good. There's a great little battle that you go in, and he tries to help you out by distracting all of these enemies, because if they all came up against you, they're like dog enemies, and if they came up and fought you, you'd be, toast. So Wedge is like, yo, come after me, and they're chasing after him, and they bite his butt, and it's cute, and it's funny, and it's wacky, that's fun. But, like, the entire time he's like, oh, I'm so hungry, and it's like, come on. And then there was another moment later on in the game where I walked past an NPC, and I was like, oh, hey, a fat NPC, cool, because every NPC has been, like, normal build kind of person.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, cool, there's, a fat NPC. He, right after I thought that, he says something about how he wants food. And I'm like, come the fuck on, like, aren't we better than this in a society?
That sounds very Japanese writing-esque. Very
Japanese and, like, unaware kind of thing, and very just outdated, just dated, There's so many things about this game that I don't like, but I am having a great time.
Something in a 25-year-old remake that feels dated.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they would put this in their modern... I mean, this is a modern game. We shouldn't be like, this is... Well, it's because of the time. I'm not saying that you're saying that, but, some people might. have that as their whatever, but that's a wrong take. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Anyone. And Jessie's terrible. She unfortunately is terrible. It really, really reinforces the whole like male wish fulfillment that Cloud is as a character. And
there was a meme that I saw where it was just a picture of Jessie and she was going, "Call me Goku because I'm about to ride a cloud."
I retweeted that. Yes.
Yes, I love that so much.
I'm trying to, laugh at it, but I really think that they have done a disservice by making that Jessie's only character trait. I mean, there's a little bit more, and I'll talk about it later, but wow, it sucks. And actually, I think that Jessie's character weakens the appearance of Aerith because Jessie is like playful horny constantly with Cloud, and when you meet Aerith, she's playful as well, but you can kind of be like, ugh, I'm tired of this already. I was. And it took me a while to warm up to Aerith in this version because I was already exhausted with that experience that I had with Jessie.
Okay.
And what's so annoying too is that Jessie just being like her only thing is that she like wants to bone Cloud. If Jessie were a gay character and she were only gay and she was just flaming, people would be freaking out that she's a bad character. I mean, they'd be right because that'd be her only personality trait, but they're giving her a total pass and being like, oh, she's cute. Oh, I like her. If she were a gay character, people would be like, oh, SJWs ruining our games, writing in gay characters for the sake of gay characters. You can be gay, but you have to be, a well-written character. You can be gay as long as I say it's all right, and I find it fine. And that's my criticism right here, is that, like, criticize her because she's a bad character, But I can't help but think that just I'm a gay person, being gay colors my experience in the world, and I
do agree with you that somebody's sexual orientation should not be a character, period.
Yeah, and
regardless of who they want to bang. If that's all they talk about and all they focus on, well, you're gonna be kind of one-dimensional and boring.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 talking points in those like 2 sentences we said for sure, but it's just like, okay, if you want Jessie to be about banging Cloud, maybe make her like differentiate her from Aerith's personality because you want Aerith to have a real impact. Maybe make Jessie more understated, where she has kind of a crush on Cloud and she's worried about him during the mission as she's trying to do her thing, and maybe she like holds back on the explosion that because she's the explosion expert, I guess, or something like that. Have her maybe hold back on something like that because she was worried about Cloud, but it actually screws up the mission or something like that. You know what I mean? Write something in there that isn't just like, hey, Cloud, I like your eyes. And then Cloud's like, what are you doing? And she's like, yeah, be mean to me. That's all she is in this freaking game. Hate her.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk about more about that later. So
yeah. I got thoughts. I got so many thoughts on Final Fantasy, man.
I know. Yeah, you haven't even gotten to Motorcycle Fu yet.
Oh, did you see any of that?
I watched that and I was like, okay, I watched a Yu-Gi-Oh! Spin-off series where they played card games on motorcycles, and that is more believable than any of the shit that I'm seeing pulled right here.
He just like, okay, that's Rush. I love him. I love him because he's insanely campy and stupid and just like Devil May Cry craziness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I do have to say about the game is that it's really weird tonally. I am so happy it is compared to if it were something that were self-serious. I would just be miserable. It would be a nightmare for me to play that game if it were so self-serious, right? So I'm glad it's at least like tonally weird. And characters like Rosh, who are straight out of Advent Children in terms of writing, excellent. Absolutely excellent. I love him.
Knowing you're going to have tons more opinions to talk about this game. But my question for you, if post Final Fantasy VII Remake Oni could give pre-Final Fantasy VII Remake Oni a message, what would that message be in regards to this game?
It's the same stuff.
It's the same thing.
It's the same.
It has not changed.
No, it's the same stuff. So come chat with me, lovely listeners, about Final Fantasy VII. Whether you're all about it, whether you're not about it, I want to definitely hear what people have to say about this game on my Twitter at Oni_Dino. So this week in the news, a bunch of junk happened, like it does every week, blah, blah, blah. Hey, there was...
We talk about news on this show, huh?
Yeah, an hour into the podcast at least. Switch firmware update happened this week, and there were no damn folders.
Hey, but it's okay. We got bookmarks on news items, which is something that everybody has been asking for.
I get all of my news from my Nintendo Switch news tab.
It's true. It's true.
Please, Nintendo, please give us folders. I genuinely, like, especially because we're so long into the life now. I mean, what is this, like year 3 at least? We need folders to organize the games that we have now. It's actually becoming a bit of a hindrance that I can't organize my stuff. Please let me organize those little options that you gave in the sorting by playtime, by name, and by last played.
Oh,
doesn't help.
I made the mistake of, because they added that, you know, the play activity, you can more easily find out how long you've been playing certain games.
I don't care.
I found out that I've been playing Animal Crossing New Horizons for 210 plus hours.
Holy damn! Holy damn in the butt!
I made mistakes.
Wow, that's not a mistake. You're having a great time, man. Good for you.
I am. But that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
To spend fishing.
Could donate a lot of charity work in those hours.
No, I can't because I'm stuck inside.
That's true.
One thing that was really weird about this update, though, was they added remappable controller buttons.
Yeah, that's great.
That's a thing now. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was on the Xbox and the PlayStation as well. That's great. You know, accessibility options. Fantastic.
Yeah. Nice. I'll take that. And if I remember correctly, you can save up to 5 different profiles. So
yeah, cool.
Either if certain people had certain preferences, or if you wanted a particular layout for a particular game, I like that option. I think that's cool.
Absolutely. That would not solve my Final Fantasy VII problem in PlayStation 4, because everything is mapped to just the right stick, and it's like, why? But yeah, Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Any other?
We're talking about Nintendo games now.
No, Sony Dino. My name is Sony Dino, and I'm here to say I'm playing Final Fantasy like every day.
Boom, 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 boom.
But there is an interesting little tidbit in this firmware upgrade. Of course, as with all of them, they get data mined, and everybody's looking at the source code and being like, what's in it, what's happening?
Of course. People like to peek at their Christmas packages, so yeah.
There apparently in the source code is a reference to something that could be a new hardware model. We saw this kind of thing happen before, several firmware upgrades ago, right before they introduced the Switch Lite, and the sort of the new normal, I'll call it, of the Switch has a different chip inside of it that makes it run more efficiently, extending the battery life. And then there's the Switch Lite. So they referenced those models, many moons ago. So we're seeing something similar here, where there's a new model and it just kind of says like ABCD. So clearly a placeholder name. This could be, many things. It could be the Pro version that everybody's wanting. I hope it is. I'd like a Pro version.
Yeah.
This could be a totally new thing. It could be another new normal because, maybe some hardware part needs to be replaced and it's a big enough spec change that they need to change the serial number. It could be something very boring like that too. But what do you think, Galen?
Well, and if I remember correctly in that article, they also found references in the coding to use of a second screen, specifically for a new model.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So I'm wondering if they're coming out with some sort of 3DS/DS/Switch hybrid console, which would be absolutely crazy, but it also, falls back on a huge backlog of, thing for people to use.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, we've never had a home console that's been portable before, so since you're stepping into that territory, I mean, it doesn't really bring things too far out of the realm of possibility to see them trying to find ways to mash those cultures together.
Yeah, I feel like so many games, though, from, like, the 3DS are also like games from the GameCube era, where it's like, we can do an HD remaster of this game and make way more money doing that rather than giving people backwards compatibility. I think it just makes more sense for them money-wise to do something like that. So I don't really foresee something like that just to add backwards compatibility for something like 3DS or even Wii U.
Throw it into the rumor bucket,
Yeah. I don't know. We don't get too heavy on rumors here just because, like, you can talk yourself into a circle on that. I'd rather actually give critique and really give... Sorry, what? What?
We've done that before.
No, we've not. You shut your goddamn mouth. I'll tell you a story right now.
I have a wall full of tinfoil hats.
You're a strange, terrible. So we'll see. I'm hoping it's a Pro model just because I would like a little extra juice from my Switch. I don't know what that means. I don't know at all. I am on the voyage that is the Nintendo Switch. Sure, go ahead. Let's go.
Sail away.
And in other news, Gamescom officially canceled. The physical event has been canceled. However, there is a digital event taking place for Gamescom. So this was a bit inevitable with the Roni happening in the world. By the way, everybody, stay safe. I meant to ask this last week, but hope you guys are all doing well. We have quite a few people who write into us regularly, and just thinking about you guys and hoping you guys are all staying safe.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Galen, what do you think, though, about with this digital event? Like, what does that mean to you, and what do you want to see in a digital event?
That is a good question. I mean, it's weird because there have been very few conferences and press events and things like that I've been to personally. Like, I've been to a couple of gaming conventions in the past, but when these sort of events come around, it's always been through a digital format that I'm getting my news and everything from regardless. So in that regard, like, I don't know how much is actually going to be changing for me as a consumer of this sort of news and media. Now we've talked this topic to death before on previous episodes, the importance of the industry connections that are happening at these sort of events and other things like that. A lot of that stuff is going to be happening behind closed doors anyway, so I feel like we'll see more trailers and publicized news and more theatrical news, let's say.
I hope that it's just like kind of like a trailer, and then let's have a 20-minute sit down with the devs and them tell us a little bit about it and maybe show like gameplay or something like that. I always enjoy those kinds of things because you can kind of put that on your TV while you're doing something else, pay attention to it, super serious if you're really into the game. But it's just a nice relaxing way to enjoy the consumption of media, and instead of just being like purely advertised to, like, I feel like I'm actually learning about a product that I might care about.
Yeah, you hear the news and you go and look more into it as opposed to, hey, here's this new world premiere.
Mm-hmm.
Which, also, I have a question for you. Like,
oh god.
The next big live gaming event that I can think of, is that the Video Game Awards?
So, one thing that I can think of is definitely Tokyo Game Show, which happens in September.
Oh, yeah. I knew I was forgetting one.
That's going to get canceled for sure.
You think?
Yeah, definitely. The Olympics have been postponed.
No, it's true.
And then, I don't know, like, I haven't really been paying attention too much to the news just because it is so exhausting, but...
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, it's really hard. But, I'm trying to keep informed, but then also like take care of my mental health too. So it's a really rough balance. But with Japan, when finally the Olympics got postponed, only then were they like, oh, what do you know? Suddenly all of these people, the infection rate, oh, there's so many people. Oh my goodness. Oh, and now we should do the indoors social distancing, that kind of thing.
Oh no.
I think that they were holding off the publicity of it, because they didn't want to lose the Olympics. But regardless, like even of the format of Gamescom, it's going to be weird because a lot of games are delayed at some point in the process. Whether it's in the development stage, planning stage, shipping, like there's so many things up in the air. So it's going to be a weird Gamescom no matter what.
This is going to be a weird year in general for games. Like
for everything.
Yeah.
Have you looked outside? Everything. It's raining fire. So there were also some game announcements this week. I don't care about any of them, but I'll just let you guys know. Crysis Remastered coming to Switch, which is pretty interesting because that's a big FPS, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Galen, do you care?
I care in the matter of Crysis as a series has always been a hallmark when it comes to technical progress and technical benchmarks.
Yeah, actually, you're right. There is an important thing to talk about here. Please go ahead, though.
Yeah, like the whole meme of, yeah, your computer's awesome, but can it run Crysis? Or can it run Crysis 3 on high marks? Like, hearing that this is coming out for the Switch as a remastered version, and granted, the game first launched in 2007. Like, this is an old game that's coming up, but yeah.
But it's a full-on remaster for modern consoles. Like, in the press release, there was a really interesting tidbit where they said, and I don't know if this is accurate or if it's just the wording, but they said that it's going to have ray tracing in PlayStation 4 and Xbox and PC, and I don't know if any games have actually used ray tracing yet for the current Xbox and PS4. That's like the big thing that they're talking about with like the new PlayStation and new Xbox. But they also sort of made it sound like ray tracing is going to be happening on the Nintendo Switch with this game. Man, I can't foresee that actually happening.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking of them doing their port of Witcher 3. And yeah, it was an absolute amazement that they were able to get that game onto a single cartridge to get it onto the Switch. And side-by-side comparisons, you can definitely tell which is the more technical powerful.
Yeah.
Technical powerful? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is more technically powerful of the group.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
I will not be surprised if they were like, oh, that was just really poor wording, or that was just in changing hands between the developers to the PR person. They were like, oh, we screwed up. Sorry, it's not, ray tracing isn't happening on the Switch version.
Next thing you know, they're going to come out and they're going to say that, yeah, we're doing, Bitcoin mining and everything with this game.
Yeah.
So
there's a really good video that actually I'll put in my additional DLC. I don't remember what it was called or anything like that. Just check the description. It explained in very easy to understand terms what ray tracing is and why it is exciting tech in the future. So, because I had no idea what it is before I watched this video. So I'll leave that video in my additional DLC.
Nice. Okay. As for the other game that was mentioned, Spongebob, okay.
Yeah, I don't care about SpongeBob, but a lot of people who are about 5 years younger than us really care about SpongeBob.
Yeah, I mean, the more I look into this really has more of a cult following than I gave it credit for.
We were a little past that prime for when SpongeBob came out and was really popular. And this is a remaster of a GameCube game, I think. And
yes,
this was a game that people played in their childhood kind of thing. We were playing different games that time because we were a little bit older. But anyway, for all those SpongeBob fans, this remaster is coming out in June.
Yeah. And honestly, I just found a comparison video comparing like the original. It came out for like PS2, Xbox, GameCube, and a bunch of stuff. But it was a comparison of one of those copies versus what they're actually making. And I gotta be honest, like it looks kind of good. Like they've really done their homework on making this look like a presentable and well-loved remake. So cool. I'm not gonna play it, but all the kudos to you.
Yeah, great for the people that will.
Exactly.
And an interesting one got announced, Jump Force Deluxe version or edition.
Yeah, it's the Jump Force game, but it's a deluxe edition. It's going to have the base game plus the content of the first season pass. So it comes with like an extra 9 characters and some story stuff.
Yeah, this is a game that was announced. People were like, whoa, what? And intrigued for sure. Then it came out and people were like, doesn't play that great. The art direction does not look great. I think it was just too realistic and just too many clashing things happening. I don't remember what people's general, impressions were of this, but it definitely went under the radar. People didn't really care about it.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, because you have so many different art styles. Like, for those who haven't heard of this game, it's basically a collaboration of all of the hit shonen mangas over the past couple of years. So you have, your traditional Dragon Ball Z characters and One Piece and Naruto, and then you also have some older throwbacks like Saint Seiya and Yu Yu Hakusho.
Right,
and
right.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is even in there. I don't know how that's coming up as the second time in this episode.
What a truly horrible world we live in.
That's true.
What a horrible night to have a curse.
I know.
God, did you hear me again? I pronounced world weird. It's a hard word.
You do pronounce that weird, do you?
It's a hard word to pronounce.
Say word.
Word.
Say world.
World. Stop me! I meant when I said stop me, I meant stop you doing what you're doing to me. See, we're saving time. Anyway, moving on from Jump Force.
Well, really quick, I just want to say that
I
was actually really excited when this game was first announced, because back in the DS days, there was a little import game called Jump Superstars and Jump Ultimate that I imported myself, because it's one of the few games that I have imported, and I absolutely loved it.
We imported 2 copies because we both played it on our DSs.
Oh, didn't we go to the same,
Yes, in Seattle. We went to
Seattle?
There was a
God,
store.
I remember that.
What was the name of that store? Let's shout it out in case they still exist. Probably not. Hopefully they do.
I could not tally off the
Great,
top of my
we'll
head.
not do that. There was this store that sold a bunch of games, and they specialized on import stuff, and they did repairs, and they also did modding and stuff. And I got
a modded PS2 kit there.
Oh.
I modded my PS2
to do what?
to play import games.
Oh, okay.
I had an original fat PS2, and you would replace the top shell so you can actually open up the top shell like you would original PlayStation 1 and swap discs without pressing the eject button, which got past the whole region-locked reading feature of it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, fantastic game. I really wish they would have kept that series in that format.
But this one's different. This one's more like the Naruto 3D fighter Bandai Namco games.
Yeah. I don't know. If it comes out at a discounted price, I might give it a try.
Yeah, I could see you doing that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll discount at some point. Bandai Namco games do go down in price on Switch.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I wanted to mention Jason Schreier leaving Kotaku. I dare say finally leaving Kotaku.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, Kotaku is of course a very big news source. And Jason Schreier is one of their, shining reporters. He is a fantastic reporter, 32 years old only, which is terrifying because it's like, oh my God, what have I been doing with my life if this man's 32? He has been just killing it in unearthing a bunch of, terrible practices like crunch in the video games industry and really exposing it and facilitating change, being a stepping stone, whatever, a spark, that lit the fire. And he's done a lot of really amazing work, and he cited the parent company that now owns Kotaku. What is it? Geo Media? What are they called again? And they've been criticized very publicly by their oh God, what is the word in English? Child company. Subsidiaries that they now own. So this is just another big blow to them where, somebody leaving is like, yo, they're terrible management. They are stifling actual journalism can't do this anymore. So all of the best to Jason in wherever he's going to next. He hasn't said. I think he wants to keep things low. He's going to work on his second book, and it's exciting, and I'm really excited to see whatever he's going to do next, because I really like the guy.
He did say that he is going to be doing a podcast.
Right.
Yeah, the details of it are on his Twitter, so if you enjoyed the Kotaku podcast that he helmed beforehand, it's going to be in a similar style, just outside of that branch of things.
Right. You know, I never listened to the Kotaku podcast for a reason I'll get to in a second, but I will listen to his new podcast.
Too many ads?
No. I mean, oh god, that is annoying if that's the case. But I have to actually, so I used to listen to a lot more podcasts before we started doing this show, but then I started to notice I had stuff that crept into my subconscious, and then I repeated on this show that was actually something that somebody else said, or you know, like it was a critique that somebody else said or a joke that somebody else said, and then I realized it later in editing or weeks later, and I was like, oh my god, you know, it sounds like I'm, you know, stealing from somebody else. And so I was like, I have to just limit the podcast that I listen to. So now I really only listen to a couple that I just really love. And even then, I still have to be like, okay, don't say the thing that they said, because, you know, sometimes there's overlap with gaming podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I don't, you know, listen to podcasts or prepare for this or anything. So everything is just like natural, and you know it's coming from me.
Yeah, natural. I hate you. This is why we'll never be elevated. This is why we don't reach Kotaku numbers, Galen.
Because we don't do ads?
Because you don't do the preparation. Listen to me, I'm writing Hemingway over here.
Say world.
I'm beginning to think that there's something wrong with my brain. So additional DLC. I already talked about I'm going to do the ray tracing video. Galen, what are you doing?
I have a more lighthearted one this week. It's a content creator on YouTube that I found named Scott the Waz.
Leanne quite likes him because she oftentimes will write into us in
she does,
in the
she?
Scott style. Yeah.
Hey y'all, Galen here. No, he's pretty cool. Very low key, and the essence of his videos are really just opinion pieces. And he talks about everything from gaming subjects such as, you know, instruction books back when he was a kid and how they've kind of gone away nowadays. The video that I have down below is actually on Club Nintendo and his impressions on that. It's very comedic. It's not meant to be used as a news source by any means, but his entire attitude of the videos is just like, hey, this is my opinion. This is how I feel about it. And it's kind of freeing in that sense. It really kind of takes away the pressure that a lot of other content creators do when they try to do these like recaps of subjects. So give him a listen. Very lighthearted, and I like it.
Yeah, some of the appeal that I think that he has is that he doesn't pretend to be anything more than he is, and he doesn't...
Exactly.
And now on to our fastest subject, because I'm dying right now.
I can see it.
We're gonna do the listener mail. So we know we got a bunch of awesome mofos out there. They tweet at me. They tweet at Galen. They write into us. And that's what we like. Please write into us.
Non-sexually, please.
Non-sexually.
We are both married individuals.
And we're great at giving life advice. Write into us at Nintendo Everything Pod at gmail.com.
Write in your poor choices to NintendoEverythingPod at gmail.com.
I need a Xanax and a wine. And your email.
Your email and Xanax and wine might sound something like this. So, this week we have an email from Leonard. Hey, Leonard.
Yo, Leonard, what up again?
So, Leonard starts off his email with a compliment, saying, I really enjoyed the interview with Renaissance man Joe Zija. Oni, you have been brushing up on your interview skills, yeah? Good job.
Thank you very much, Leonard. Also, Galen, say interview.
Interview. World.
It gets harder the more you say it.
Recently, Nintendo graced us with a free trial of ARMS, a game that flew under my radar completely. I really enjoyed its easy to pick up, difficult to master play style. The online community is really great as well, so big kudos to them. I was playing this quite a bit, despite the game preventing me... I was playing this quite a bit, despite the game reverting me to my childhood, as I raged at the CPU bite and bark, beating me time after time again. In any case, I want to hear your most cringe-worthy rage moments. Nay, I need to hear them. What games got you so heated that there is no reasonable reaction but to toss that controller across the room? All embarrassing details, please. Thanks, Leonard.
Thank you, Leonard. This is a great question.
Yeah, this is a fun one. Oni, would you like to share some of your most fun rage moments?
I guess so. So I don't rage too much when playing video games. I have a story from...
When you do, is it against the machine?
Galen, 1996, called...
Final Fantasy VII's on pre-order.
So I have a story from antiquity, and I also have a modern story.
Okay.
So I definitely, I don't have a lot of rage moments, don't have a lot of memories of this. I typically just get, annoyed or upset, and I'm, pretty good at, being all right, knocking it off right now. Oh, this is upsetting, need to stop playing this game sucks. But when I was a tiny baby child, probably, I'm going to say 5 years old, and I was playing Street Fighter 2 on my Super Nintendo, and just losing because CPUs back then could be really difficult.
You're a 5-year-old playing Street Fighter 2, so
yeah, you're a 5-year-old playing Street Fighter 2, and I remember being super upset and being okay,
was he getting past my Hadoken?
Well, I wouldn't often make excuses like that, like a lot of kids did. I had a bunch of kids in the neighborhood, and they would come over and play video games, but I wouldn't make excuses like a lot of them did, just because probably I heard them a lot doing that. And I would more so just do that really young kid thing where you're just upset underneath your breath and you're like, "Urgh, urgh," like that, So I would do that when I was little. And I remember one time, my dad was asking me to do something or something like that, and I was angry at the game, and I just was a ball of emotion, and I was just saying how no, I'm not going to do that right now, and I'm just mad, and I knew I just needed to cool off. And my dad is he's excellent at saying the exact wrong thing that you should say in any emotional situation whatsoever.
I know this man. That is a correct statement.
He is so bad about that. So he just saw me upset, and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do this," or something like that, and I had a tear rolling down my cheek even. And so he responded with if you're going to get this mad while playing the game, then I'm going to take that game away from you. And it's that is helping nobody, It's not good, not a good thing to say. And then it just made me more angry, and I was just the little kid sounds that you make where you're just part animal.
Oh, man.
And my other story is the one game, or I should say the one type of game that does actually make me rage. By the way, I've never thrown a controller or anything like that. I value stuff too much and know that if I throw something, I won't buy it again because I destroyed that, and that's my fault. So I've never thrown anything in my life. But this one type of game will get me super angry. It penetrates deep into my heart emotions. I don't know how it does it. Online solo PvP.
Ah, yes.
I don't know why, but that upsets me so much.
No, that is... I know exactly what you're talking about.
And there's so many people that can play games like that, and they're cool with it, even like losing or winning or whatever. I can't. I don't know why. It upsets me. So, Splatoon in particular. I had to stop playing, certain modes because I was like, I'm not having fun. I play and then I get angry. And video games don't make me angry, especially now in my adult life. Nothing ever makes me angry like this. What am I doing? And so I stopped playing a lot of those modes. And so I never even got better at the game, really. But I can play online PvP if I'm playing with a friend, whether it's couch co-op or whether it's online. I have the best time because I don't know what it is. Like, that other person with me dissipates like that anger completely. I never even get mad or anything like that. I just have a great time. I had a great experience once playing with a buddy who is a super Splatoon master. His name is Max. And we were just friends from like online forums, and we ended up like meeting up in real life, several times, and we're friends now. But we played once online and we did really well. And even when we lost, I was just having a great time and chatting with him, and it was just the best experience. And it was so strange to have that exact same game with one change in the variable, and suddenly I was having a good time.
I so wish that I could convince you to play Destiny with me.
You tried, and I hate the way that feels. That's why I wanted you to play Splatoon with me.
Yeah, Destiny is actually the only game that I have gotten so mad that I have actually thrown a controller.
Really? Tell me about it.
No, I think they do this like monthly event or like bi-monthly or something, called the Iron Banner, where it's only PvP, and there's a bunch of gear that you can only get if you play this mode. And I remember I had to work all week, and this was like the one weekend that I finally got to actually jump on, and I had to do an entire week's worth of stuff in like a 6-hour time frame.
Oh, I hate that.
Just in order to like get the stuff that I wanted out of this game. So I had to be on my A game the entire time I was playing online multiplayer against other people. I was not on my A game.
Yeah, I mean, you are overworked and stressed.
Yes, and this game did not help. So I was actually playing, and I think this was like, I've been playing for like 3 hours straight at this point. And back at this particular time, there was this one particular weapon combo that if you had this build, you were just above everybody else. Because it was a weapon that when it hit you, it did poison damage. And it was like 3 shots of this weapon, you're dead, as opposed to the regular like 6 or 7 that you would normally get. And it was just completely unbalanced. And everybody knew it, but that was just the environment at the time. They fixed it later. But after like 3 hours of playing this, I finally got to the point where I went an entire match and didn't make a single kill the entire time, and just got so frustrated that I took my controller and I just put it like this and just pushed outwards.
Wait, you have to explain what you're doing with your hands to people listening.
I went from holding the controller to like holding it like I was about to break a twig or something, and instead just pushing it downwards and away from me. And the controller went hitting the ground and went spiraling across the living room. My wife just so happened to walk in from the kitchen at that time
and saw your embarrassing movements.
Yeah, looked at that, looked at me, and is like, "You're done playing this game now," and then walked over and turned off the TV. And I was just like, "No, I'm doing a thing! I'm just mad right now, but you're probably right."
Definitely right.
But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I don't really get mad so much when I'm playing video games. If I do ever get to a point where I'm super stressed about something, I get into these stubborn Galen modes.
That is just your base mode.
Well, it gets really bad. Like, imagine me playing something like N Plus or Super Meat Boy,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just the little minuscule mistakes and you will die and have to restart the level, but it does it quick enough that it just like restarts again. What's the game that you and Cliff played?
Oh, Never Give Up.
Never Give Up. Yeah. Think of what it would be like for me to play Never Give Up. It's kind of the same exact thing that Cliff would do. It's just like, no, I got this. No, I got this. One more time.
Yeah. You definitely have done that.
Further and further into the rabbit hole. Yeah. So I would, I remember that I spent 2 hours on one particular level in N Plus doing the exact same thing. And it was just, you don't talk to me at that point. I'm glad I did this at night and nobody was around, because if somebody walked up, they would have been like slapped in the face and I would have gone back to playing this level. But I think there's one thing we can both talk about that was the most rage-inducing.
What?
Mario Party.
Oh, I was going to say Resident Evil 6, but that was just like an embarrassing disappointment.
When did we rage at Resident Evil 6?
We didn't. We cried.
We also cried at Resident Evil 5, too. Trying to go through on, like, expert with, like, one-hit-you-die mode.
Oh, God, I don't remember any of that.
Yes, because it's been mentally blocked for both of us. But no, I remember a couple of rage moments where let's play a 50-round game, and then the last freaking mini game like decided all of it, and one person would steal all the stars, and it would just ruin the night for everyone.
You're bringing back a memory. You are bringing back a memory, Galen and Leonard. Thanks to asking this question. So when Galen and I were younger, we had a group of friends that we would often hang out with, and we would play Mario Party a lot. That was like, I don't know, N64 days. So we were playing that, and I remember a couple of times for sure, but like definitely one time you were winning or something, and either I or somebody else just, through the Mario Party stuff at the end ended up winning or stealing stars from you.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's just what happens. And you would get so upset that you had to like take a walk, and then like the other person was like scared, like they didn't want to move. They were a tiny little person. You've always been a large man, so that makes sense. But it would, I just remember
anyway.
the anger in the air that you could cut with a knife from emanating from you, Galen.
I remember that. I got super intense in the Mario Party. That and Conker's Bad Fur Day. That was the other one. I don't think I had any like rage moments.
Yeah, it's just competitive.
Yeah.
But
I remember you and I playing Conker's Bad Fur Day, and you always wanted to be the Teddies because they had the far superior battle side that you would start on.
Did they start in the high ground?
Yeah. They started up in the bunker, and then the other guys were like down below in the barracks.
Huh.
Yeah.
I just liked them because I like teddy bears.
And because when you cut them up with a katana, they had stuffing that went everywhere.
Yeah, they were freakish. That's the only reason I liked them. I like freaky. I like a perfect blend of creepy and cute.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah,
describes you.
But at the end of all of this, I just want to say that, like, super raging out during a video game is not healthy. That's why, I, for myself, always want to be like, yo, I need to recognize this and stop myself when I know I'm getting upset. Video games should be fun. Video games should be a challenging experience if you want them to be, but they should never be upsetting you. They should never be doing something like that. That's an unhealthy mindset, and I don't want to...
absolutely.
I don't want to romanticize, like, we have, great stories, but I don't want to romanticize these moments as like, we're just gamers and that's what we do because we're capital R gamers. What? But
capital R gamers?
Shut up.
I just caught that. What?
I don't know. My brain. There's something wrong with it. So anyway, just want to, punctuate that. And encourage everybody else at home as well to
there is
play games healthy.
There is far too many things out in this world to make you frustrated and upset and feel small about yourself. Video games do not need to be included in that category.
Yeah. So Leonard, thank you so very much for writing into us. And
Thanks, Leonard.
your daughter sounds fantastic, and I'm glad that she tried to keep you grounded in your moments of anti-computer police dog hating.
Might have left that part out when I read the email, but
Oh, that's fine. Galen,
I paraphrase sometimes.
paraphrases because we got to shorten emails up, but we read through them lovingly every time. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Leonard.
And
And-
everyone else.
Everyone else, you flood us with your emails. I know you got time on your hands.
I think what Oni is trying to say is remember to send those insightful and fun emails to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com. Also, I would really like to get a few hypotheticals. So throw a few
Yeah.
absurdist hypotheticals my way. That's always fun.
We haven't had those in a while, so that'd be fun. Oni, what's coming up? What's gonna be new?
I say it every time, and you say it wrong always. Anytime.
I know. That was the first time I've ever said it. 76 episodes. I've only tried to say it once.
What is coming up and what is coming out on nintendoeverything.com is some lovely translations out of Famitsu that I did recently. We've also got some reviews, 24-hour news nonstop. You want to be looking at nintendoeverything.com multiple times a day because we are constantly updating. And you can stay connected to us on the Twitter at nineverything and our YouTube, youtube.com/nineverything. And you got opinions on Final Fantasy VII. I know you do. You got opinions on other video games. Let's meme it out, bro and girl. On my Twitter at Oni_Dino. I also got the Instagrams. Oni__Dino. I'm sorry, that was my soul trying to escape from my body. Galen, where do you steal souls?
I steal souls on Twitter. To steal your soul, message me at Mobius087.
Your soul is mine.
And if you want to see my soul displayed for everyone on Instagram,
Gross and inappropriate.
True_Mobius is where you can find that.
Fatality.
Babetality.
Babality. Galen, why are you wrong
that what
about
it's called?
everything? Babality.
Frosty.
You know that that's wrong. For my mental health,
I am the embodiment of chaos.
for my mental health, guys, will you please leave us a rating on the iTunes and share this podcast with somebody else? That would be really nice. I'm dying over here.
It's true. I can see it.
If I don't die, we'll see you next week like we do every week. This is Weekly Podcast. Until then, for everything Nintendo.
Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Nintendo everything.
Bye.